Mr. Chairman, Director Wray, thank you for being here today. I have a number of questions on a variety of topics, and we have limited time, so let me get right into it. First, I have always found it interesting that Director Comey never sought to obtain the hacked DNC servers to review any digital evidence or trails that can definitively prove or disprove the Russian hacking allegation. Have you sought those servers, and if not, why not?
The handling of that investigation, including access to servers or anything like that, those are investigative decisions made in the course of the Clinton email investigation, which is now the subject of a rigorous outside independent investigation by the Inspector General, and I'm waiting to see what he finds in order to decide what appropriate action might ensue from that.
Do you know if the Inspector General is seeking the servers, or do you have any information on it?
I don't have any information on that.
The number 2 official on Mr. Mueller's team, former FBI General Counsel Andrew Weissman, as you know, was just shown to have made biased comments against President Trump and emails sent to the since-fired acting Attorney General Sally Yates. As a matter of general policy, what happens when employees at the FBI are shown to make biased comments in the midst of an investigation on which they serve?
Well, it's hard to generalize. It depends on the situation, depends on how severe the bias, depends on lots and lots of different circumstances. So it's hard for me to make one sweeping statement. Certainly in some instances we would, as has been alluded to earlier, remove somebody from an investigation.
Who makes that decision? I mean, what's the criteria? Is that ultimately your unilateral authority, or?
It wouldn't have to rise to my level. It would depend on the investigation, I would suppose.
With regard to terrorism, the Department of Homeland Security has recently indicated the threat environment in the U.S. is perhaps the most serious since the 9/11 attacks. And in your opening statement today, of course, you noted that the FBI is currently investigating about 1,000 ISIS-related threats in all 50 states. Is the threat evolving now that ISIS is losing ground in Iraq and Syria, and has the threat grown as that organization has become more decentralized?
It's a very good question. I think what I would say is the threat is different. Some people would say, is it better or worse? The good news is, the caliphate is crumbling, and that's positive for all of us. The bad news is ISIS is encouraging some of its recruits and potential recruits to stay where they are and commit attacks right in the homeland. So in addition to the 1,000 or thereabouts ISIS investigations, which I would define as sort of ISIS-directed investigations, we have a lot of what we would call homegrown violent extremist investigations, which are individuals, more kind of lone wolf types, who are motivated and inspired by ISIS to commit attacks. And that's, I think, the threat that, in our view, is growing, not just in the U.S., but in a lot of our allied countries as well.
I wish we had time to unpack that further, but let me ask you specifically regarding ISIS and current investigations. Can you confirm for us today that the Las Vegas killer, Stephen Paddock, didn't have any ties to international terrorism, despite the fact that ISIS is claiming responsibility?
Well, I've seen the same claims of responsibility that you have, Congressman. I would tell you that so far in our investigation, we haven't seen any evidence to support those claims of responsibility.
Thanks for that. In September, I led a letter with 17 members of Congress from Texas and Louisiana to Attorney General Sessions to request a thorough investigation into Planned Parenthood Gulf Coast's actions of selling aborted fetal tissue for financial gain. If indeed that activity is shown to have taken place, is that a crime?
I don't know the legal answer. As I said before, I consider myself now a reformed lawyer, but I will tell you that we're aware of the request, and we have farmed it out to the appropriate field offices and parts of the Bureau to take a look at the information provided.
Last month, we got information the FBI requested from the Senate Judiciary Committee documents that were obtained from those abortion providers regarding that probe, and so on behalf of all of our delegations and those in the region, I want to thank you for that, and we'll look forward to the outcome of it. I appreciate you being here and your service to the country, sir. And I yield.